Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things now we see them. And in today's episode, the topic is, should the former Clipper Montrezl Harrell regret signing with the team, or basically leaving the Clippers? So that's the topic I want to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to ensure that you see our videos whenever they come out. Also, check out Dreamerspro Max, is an online sports community that we created, a place where you can go and start basketball discussions, chat live during games, and so many other cool things. So if you guys are interested in that, be sure to check that out. We have that linked in the description below. And also make sure you go ahead and click the join button to join the channel to receive loyalty badges and ensure that whenever you leave a comment, it's responded to. So make sure you go ahead and do that. Anyway, let me get into this topic here. It's been a while since we've produced a Montrezl Harrell video, and usually when we produce them, they usually kind of stir up a lot of different emotions in people. Some people tend to like our videos. Some people tend to hate the Montrezl videos that we do. We did one Montrezl Harrell video last year when he decided to go sign with the Lakers, and that video was probably our most controversial video we've ever shot. That video had like 500-600 dislikes on that video, so it got a lot of people in their feelings. So that's generally how these videos tend to perform. But anyway, last year, was supposed to be a promising year for Montrezl Harrell, if we're being honest, right? This was the year that the Clippers were going to really break through and win the title. I remember when they were able to get, I think, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, they asked him, in an interview about what he thought about it. He was like, it's over, right? That's what he thought, and that's what a lot of people thought. A lot of people thought that was going to be, the team that was gonna break through. And last year, individually, he had a fantastic season. If I look at his numbers, last season with the Clippers, he had a great year. Okay, last year in 28 minutes per game, he averaged 18.6 points per game. This is Montrezl Harrell now. 18.6 points per game. He shot 58% from the field. He got you what? He shot 66% from the free throw line. He got you 7.1 rebounds and 1.7 assists and 1.1 blocks per game. The guy played so well. And remember, Montrezl Harrell is a 6'7" undersized power forward at 240 pounds. Think about that. Put it in this, or to put it this way, Paul George, who plays shooting guard, is taller than Montrezl Harrell by an inch. Paul George is 6'8", and Montrezl Harrell, with his size, was able to win the Sixth Man of the Year award over his teammate Lou Williams at the time, who the year prior had won the Sixth Man of the Year award. I mean, the Clippers had the most nuclear bench last season with these two guys coming off the bench. Those two guys alone last year for the Clippers were averaging about 36 points coming off the bench just between the two of them. So he ended up winning the award, and it was a really big accomplishment for him in his career. But then we had the global pandemic. And when the global pandemic hit, it kind of threw a monkey wrench into the entire season, really into the entire world, really. Everything came to a grinding halt, and we were all sitting here like in limbo waiting to see if the NBA season was going to resume. Ultimately, it did. And then we had the 8 play-in games, not the 8 play-in games, the 8 bubble games that the NBA created just to kind of reach the key number in 70 games to ensure that they got their TV deal revenue would kick in, right? So they had those 8 games, and it was really an opportunity for teams and players to really go out there and iron out a lot of the wrinkles of missing basketball. I think there wasn't any basketball for about 2 months, right? So Montrezl Harrell came into the bubble, and when the Orlando bubble started, he suffered a tragic loss in his family. I think he lost his grandmother, which caused him to leave the bubble. And that was sort of kind of the beginning of the end. That's when things started going downhill. He left the bubble to attend to a family matter, which is totally understandable. Then he ended up coming back, and obviously, I think when he came back into the Orlando bubble, I think mentally he was probably going through a lot. I'm sure mentally, to a certain extent, he checked out. He didn't probably want to be there, given the stance that some of the players took, given some of the social issues that were going on. Some teams didn't want to be there. This was widely reported on this. Some teams did not want to be there. And Montrezl Harrell, given the fact that he had such a tragic loss in his family, was now having to come back and kind of recalibrate his mind to come in and play games. And you could see that it just wasn't working. When he got back into the bubble, you could see that Montrezl Harrell was totally out of shape. He just didn't look like himself. And it was at one point, it was in one game when he was playing and he was laboring up the court, and Doc Rivers kind of gestured to him like, run faster, because he just didn't have his wind and his legs under him. And when the playoffs started, Montrezl Harrell grossly underperformed. He was one of the contributing factors to the Clippers getting bounced in that first round. He wasn't the only one. Paul George had a major role to play. Lou Williams had a major role to play. Kawhi Leonard had a role to play. Those are the really the four guys, and then also the coaching staff who just refused to make adjustments in between games. That was the reason that they lost that series. But since we're talking about Montrezl Harrell here, let me just say this quickly, because there are going to be some people that see this video. Let me say this in English, because maybe some people, whenever I get to this point, people start feeling like I'm speaking Greek or something. Montrezl Harrell was one of the reasons that the Clippers lost in the playoffs. He was not the only reason. So please do not come in the comment section talking about it's unfair that you're blaming it on Montrezl Harrell. I just said in plain English, he was one of the reasons. He was not the main reason. He was one of the reasons. So was Lou Williams. So was Paul George. So was Kawhi Leonard. Please keep those foolish comments off the comment section, because it makes no sense if I just explicitly said it. Anyway, given the fact that he was a sixth man of the year last year, listen to his numbers in the playoffs. He dropped off the radar, basically. He went from averaging 18-plus points per game. He averaged 10.5 points per game in the playoffs. Shot 57% from the field. Shot 20% from the three, but he doesn't take three, so I'm going to discount that. He shot 60% from the free throw line. He got you 2.9 rebounds, 0.4 assists, and he didn't even get you one block. All of his numbers in the playoffs, if you're comparing them to the regular season, all went down. He grossly underperformed. Same thing with Lou Williams. Same thing with Paul George. The only person I can think of on the Clippers roster that actually the numbers got better was Kawhi Leonard. It's just that he had a terrible Game 7, but all of his numbers got better. That's why I'm not putting the majority of the blame. Now, he's the captain of the ship. Fine. So if he was the big face on the news when the Clippers lost, it was him. A lot of the attention was on. It wasn't on Montrezl Harrell. It wasn't on Lou Williams. It was on those two guys, him and Paul George. So they took the brunt of the blame. But if you go back and look at the numbers, you know, he did his thing, and just that these guys didn't show up. And then it was after that loss, we started to hear about the rumblings between Montrezl Harrell and Paul George. And this is where this is where I kind of took issue with Montrezl Harrell. From what I understood and from what the reports were, right, Montrezl Harrell was displeased at the fact that Kawhi Leonard and Paul George were getting superstar treatment. That was, I think, one of his major gripes. Like, we've been building this organization up over the last 4 years, or however long he had been there with the team, I think 3 or 4 years. And he's like, why do these guys get to come in and all of a sudden they get preferential treatment, right? That was sort of an issue that Montrezl Harrell had with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Now, let me say this. The thing about resting all the time, I'm talking about that as far as Kawhi Leonard resting when he can play. If that's what Montrezl Harrell had problems with, I completely agree with Montrezl Harrell on that point. Kawhi Leonard should play every single game if he's healthy. And this year you've been seeing he's been doing a lot of that on back-to-back. So that I agree with Montrezl Harrell. If that was one of the issues, if that was one of the things that was said in that locker room, like, yo, bro, you're not even playing all of these games and there's nothing wrong with you. If that was what was said, I'm with Montrezl Harrell. Now, let me get to the other part. The part with him taking issue with these guys getting preferential treatment. And they asked Paul George about it. And Paul George basically said, get your weight up. That's basically what Paul George said. Like, if you mad that we getting all of this stuff and you wanted to, get your weight up, meaning get your numbers up. Right? We're getting this type of treatment because we can ball like that. Now, for some people that are going to come at Paul George is an all-NBA player, right? He's made defensive teams, first defensive teams, second defensive teams. He's made all-star teams. He's finished high in MVP voting. He's a damn good player. You can't say the same about Montrezl Harrell. So they're not even in the same universe. They're not even in the same universe as players. If Montrezl Harrell took exception to Kawhi Leonard getting preferential treatment, I've already addressed the point of him not playing games. We've kind of put that aside. If he felt a type of way like, why is Kawhi Leonard getting his own trainer, his own security, then Montrezl Harrell was smoking some of that la-la out there in Cali, okay? What would make you think that first of all, why would you even be looking at the things that Kawhi Leonard has? He earned those things. He's a two-time champion, two-time finals MVP, two-time defensive player of the year. He deserves everything he got, just like all the other players that are just as accomplished. Why are you looking at him? It's like the guy that works in the company. He's earning $80,000 a year, okay? He has a good salary. He's earning $80,000-$85,000 a year. And then he's looking at the other guy that maybe is earning $650,000 a year, but that guy performs at a higher level, brings in bigger contracts and all of this different stuff. And he's like, but why does the boss go to lunch with him? Why doesn't the boss go to lunch with me? To be fair, the boss should be going to lunch with all of us. Are you high? What are you talking about? This happens in all walks of life. The people that are usually the best at their job usually get certain perks. Hell, to some extent, I think even on Wall Street, they give out bonuses to certain people, CEOs. I don't know, in some firms, maybe they give it out to everybody, but in some cases, it's like to the highest performers. Some of them, they have performance-based contracts where if you perform at a certain level, you can get a bonus and this and this and this, and some people qualify and some people don't. Why are you looking at what he has? Why is that a problem to you? What type of entitlement is that? You're not as good as he is. You're not as good as Kawhi Leonard. So if Kawhi Leonard gets to fly on a private jet, that's his life. Why are you looking at him? Why are you envious of him, right? So if that was, and that's number one. Number two, if Montrez felt like Kawhi had to prove something, Kawhi Leonard ain't got to prove a goddamn thing to Montrezl Harrell. Who is Montrezl Harrell that Kawhi Leonard has to prove something to him? What has he done in the NBA? What does he have to prove to him? Like, seriously, what do you have to prove? It's like me, I'm recruited to a company to help turn a company around. Maybe they're doing pretty well. Maybe their margin that they're making a year is, let's say, 8%, and you're bringing me in to get them to 15%, right? And I have a track record of turning companies around. And then I walk in and I'm getting certain perks and certain this and this and this. And the one guy that's been there talking about, why is this guy getting all of this? Because I have the proven track record. I've shown you that I can deliver at a high level. Kawhi Leonard's won championships. So if that was the case, then that was already a bad sign, and that was one of the reasons they needed to get him the hell up out of there. So at the end of that season, the Clippers decided not to re-sign him. He decided to go play with the Lakers. Now, for the Lakers this season, he's putting up good numbers. He's averaging 14 points per game, 6.6 rebounds, 1.1 assists. He's playing 24 minutes a game, so he's playing about 3 minutes less per game. But I get the sense, even though last night he didn't play for the Lakers, I get the sense that given it the fact that they brought in Andre Drummond, LeBron is coming back, AD's coming back, I'm beginning to get the sense that maybe Montrezl Harrell may fall out of that entire championship equation. He's a very good player. He can score. He's versatile. But I get the sense that the Lakers, once they got Andre Drummond, you can see the hype around that. It wasn't like, oh, we got Montrezl. Nobody was really talking about him. Now, he's a good player. He's giving them good minutes off the bench. He's shooting 62% from the field. His field goal shooting is up. Free throw shooting is up. But I think that he's beginning to understand that Frank Vogel and LeBron and these guys, they're willing to put anybody on the bench if they feel like another guy is going to give them a better option to win, right? And I don't think they have any problem benching Montrezl Harrell, right? Last year, Doc Rivers would not do that, but in this time, but for the Lakers now, I just see it like he could it could end up being a situation where in some cases he may not even play in certain series, right? That happened to some Lakers last year. With the Clippers last year, Montrezl Harrell played all the time, right? Even when he had no business being out there playing against Nikola Jokic. So for me, the question is, should he regret signing with the Lakers? I think probably so. I mean, obviously he's not going to win another 6 Man of the Year award on the Lakers. I don't think so, because I don't think he's going to get the minutes. And given the fact of how the Clippers are being ran this year and how smooth things are happening, I don't even think he would have probably worked, because the Clippers now are just more centric on, even if they have bigs out on the floor, they're looking at bigs that can stretch the floor when you bring in Patrick Patterson and others. So it's just an interesting thing to kind of think about. So what I want to know from you guys, what do you think? Do you think Montrez, if he had the opportunity, he would do it differently, or do you think he made the best decision to leave? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamers Pro, wishing you guys an amazing day. Catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.